Catch and release. That's how the victims describe the round trip from New York to Atlanta. The couple, accused of living a lavish lifestyle while refusing to pay back $1.2 million in cash and diamonds, was extradited, then let go in a case that's dragged on for so long, the detective who signed the arrest warrants has since retired. The wife was arrested boarding a flight to Israel the day after the NYPD picked up her husband at their $1 million Manhattan apartment. A couple accused of fleeing to New York after more than $1 million in cash and diamonds vanished from Atlanta.
The wife in this case tried to flee the country. She was arrested at JFK boarding an international flight, and yet she was essentially let out on a low bail. She didn't even have to turn in her foreign passports. How did that happen?
We asked the judge to, at that time, to hold them in jail and that they would not receive a bond. You know, in our county, we've got a small jail and we've had a number of jail problems in the past. And I suspect that, that our judges are fairly sensitive about having people in the jail, and particularly when a property crime is involved. So the judge let him go.
Eli and Ayelet Ellituv went right back to New York City, where we found them living in an even more expensive apartment at the W Hotel.
Eli and Ayelet Ellituv in 33E.
The same hotel where the victims had tracked them down before convincing the NYPD to execute the Georgia arrest warrants.
Why did the victims have to track down these suspects? Why wasn't Fulton County trying to get the NYPD to arrest them in New York?
I'm not so sure that that didn't happen, but I'm always glad to see that victims are involved.
Part of the bond agreement is that they're supposed to notify the DA's office if they change address. We notified the DA's office of their change of address, and the DA's office was pretty much like, well, whatever, but if you do find out their new address, please provide it for us. Well, that's not my job. I've been doing this job, that job, for months.
The victims say they were promised they would be notified. The detective in this case wasn't notified of this bond hearing. The victims weren't notified. Did the assistant district attorney presiding over that bail hearing know all the information in this case? Did he know they were foreign citizens?
While we were expecting the hearing, we didn't expect it on that date. So one of the lawyers who presented the evidence at the case was a lawyer assigned to our non-complex division. It was not one of the lawyers that we would have preferred be there, and that's one of the lawyers from our white-collar division.
Documents obtained by the 11 Alive investigators show the Fulton DA's office is short-handed, and from April to September, the white-collar crime unit didn't have a single investigator to assign to the case.
How many investigators are currently assigned to the white-collar crime unit?
We have one full-time investigator, we've got one paralegal, and 2 lawyers.
I mean, this investigator has only been on since September?
That's correct.
Right. How long did you go without a single investigator in the white-collar crime unit?
Well, we didn't go without one. We just didn't have one who was only assigned to white-collar.
You know, if those who would seek to defraud Fulton County residents from their money knew that there was no permanent assigned investigator to the white-collar crime unit for a period of months or years.
Well, when the period.
How long was it?
Yeah, it was just a couple of months.
There wasn't an investigator to assign to this case, and so the case was dormant during that period.
No, not true.
It's not accurate?
Not true. We had a paralegal and we also had 2 attorneys. So, I mean, there's no doubt that the number of people involved with white-collar crime, I think it easily ought to be double. And that's why I'm happy that you're doing this story. So maybe some of our county commissioners will see it. I'm hoping that none of the crooks won't see it, but I'm hoping maybe the county commissioners will see it and they will understand the frustration that these victims feel.
Finally, they got an investigator. Finally, after months.
Bobby Levenott says she doesn't know where her 11 diamonds went, but she knows the defendants are living in luxury in New York City, renting a $1.4 million apartment even after declaring bankruptcy.
As far as they're concerned, they're free citizens right now. Right now, there's not even a court date on their calendar.
What is the status of the case now? Do they have a court date?
No, they don't have a court date. And let me tell you, Brendan, I am really glad that you brought that up. We keep asking for a larger staff because I think the cases ought to be investigated much quicker than what we're able to do now.
The district attorney says not long ago there wasn't even a white-collar crime unit in Fulton County. Now he says it ought to be doubled in size. He admits the backlog means many cases take years just to get to an indictment. But the DA insists this case is a priority, and he'll be taking it to the grand jury soon.